What's up, guys? So I think today I've got some welding that I need to do. I want to continue on with the bumper support back here and just kind of get that finished up. I've got that one tube that's bent. I just need to create some other tubes to attach to it and yeah, do a bunch of welding. But I think one of the first things I want to tackle, because I don't have a lot of time at this specific moment, but I will tomorrow. But right now, I think what I want to do is I'm going to actually weld some fittings onto a valve cover. Because at some point I need to create a catch can setup for this. But for the moment, I already ordered a bunch of fittings. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try my hand at welding some aluminum onto a valve cover. I haven't actually done this before. I've welded some aluminum, but I haven't had a chance to try fittings on a valve cover. So this could go either way. I don't know. But I'm going to try. I kind of know at least where two of the ports need to go. It's probably going to be an unfinished deal, and it's just kind of a start on it, but we're going to get those welded on there, and then I guess I'm going to try and, yeah, get to this bumper support and see what else we can accomplish. Okay, this is what I got going on so far. I got this one here that I'm just going to put one fitting, just kind of like that, and then I'm going to put another fitting. I cut this one down so I can just put one on the end of there, basically. After that, I'm not entirely sure until I get my turbo manifold where I'm going to put another one, because I want to put another one over here, but for the moment I think this will be good enough, and to give me a chance to test and see if I can even do this, but let's give it a shot. Okay, I got those two welded. Obviously, I'm not a professional TIG welder, but you know, it's not terrible. It's yeah, it'll work. It'll work. This one, I did use some filler on it, but it ended up being more of a kind of a fuse weld. It didn't really need a lot of filler. This one did, obviously, but yeah, they turned out. Honestly, I'm okay with that. You know, considering this is my first valve cover I've ever welded on, and first bungs I've tried to weld to a valve cover, yeah, I'm okay with that. It's pretty good. All right, so next thing, before we tackle this bumper support, I got my turbo manifold back from my buddy who moved the wastegate for me. So let's check that out. So you can see here, if you guys remember on the last video that I had with this was down here and it was contacting the mount really hard. So moved it to here, capped that shut. We should be good. It looks like it's gonna work. I'm gonna test fit it right now and we're gonna find out. Damn it, you guys, it couldn't be that easy. I'm gonna show you, but it's still hitting. Fuck. Well, no dice. That helped. It definitely got this out of the way, but now it's hitting the bottom of here really hard on the mounts. And this is really, really close right here. I think even if I get it to bolt down in there, this is gonna be close enough. It's probably gonna melt this mount. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might have to buy a different manifold or move the rear trans bracket mount over. I don't know yet. Okay, so this is with the bracket out. I took it all the way out. The mount's just kind of, it's loose, but it's in where it's supposed to be. This is kind of approximately where it would sit, assuming that the bracket didn't hit everything. And you can see it's very, very close. It doesn't actually hit anything currently, but as soon as that bracket's in there, it's gonna take up that whole space right there, and it's gonna contact here, and yeah, it's gonna heat this up and it's gonna cook it. Not only that, it's probably gonna rattle. Plus this is gonna be, it's way interfering into there. The thought I have at the moment is if I jack this engine up in the back, give it less angle, you can see it's straightening out the engine, it takes it further away from there. Now, the bracket is attached to the engine, so obviously it's not going to change the interference right here. However, it will change this contacting here. So what I'm thinking is if I cut that bracket enough and then I cut the holes in a different spot and then weld it all in so that the engine ends up sitting more straight than angled, I think we might be okay. It's kind of questionable, but I think it'll be all right. it actually brings the axles a little bit better in alignment, I would say, because like all the way down, they're kind of at a weird angle down there, which isn't a big deal. I mean, they're CV shafts, they're fine. But it actually brings them a little bit closer, a little bit straighter, a little bit. So I don't think that's gonna be a problem. I will say it is getting a little bit close on transmission clearance, but I think we're still gonna be all right with where I'm gonna put it. Now, the issue that I'm gonna have is it, in order to get it to that point with this bracket, I'm gonna have to take a lot of metal out of here, and then I'm gonna have to slot this pretty far down here, maybe just drill a new hole. I don't know. Yeah, I guess let's dig into it. Okay, so I marked it up. I think this is my plan. I'm going to cut this section off, and because this is down here, it actually needs to come in a little bit. So I think by cutting this off, taking this little bit out, when I bring it down and in, it's gonna be into this metal right here. So I should be able to weld it pretty good. I might strengthen it up, put some more, gussets in there or whatever, but I think for the moment, I'm gonna cut this off, put the manifold on, and then kind of see where we're at. But I think we're on the right path, guys. All right, I think we're on the right path. That section clears now. Obviously, this tab's gonna have to get cut off and moved in to line up with there, but we're clearing on everything else. It kind of looks like it's touching, but it's not. There's actually space right there. Yeah, I think I just need to cut this thing up a little bit to see if I can get it kind of lined up in there. I think this is gonna work though. Okay, this is what I came up with. Basically just cut it and welded it down further. The other side, I basically lined it up and drilled it straight through. So now I've got another spot there and it fits. I'm just gonna throw some paint on it and then I can put it in there for good, hopefully. All right, mount's back in. I gotta say, I think I did a pretty good job. It almost looks like that's how you would order it. It's pretty good. It's fucking solid. So I'll throw the manifold on now so we can make sure it works, but I think it's gonna work, guys. Like a glove. Look at that, guys. We've got some space in there. I will say this is probably still gonna get pretty hot. I'm probably gonna end up having to heat wrap at least this part, possibly this area, which is unfortunate because this is such a good looking manifold, but I mean, we'll see. Maybe I can come up with something else creative, but at the moment, the big thing is, yeah, we have space in there. She's clearing. Hell yeah. Okay, now that that fits, I have a new problem, guys. So the turbo that I have is this ball bearing GT35, and this flange that I got fits it, like really snug. You pretty much have to almost hammer it on to get it to fucking fit snug, which isn't ideal, but it does work. However, the biggest problem is that the flange in the manifold doesn't fit at all. It's like off by a lot. So this is actually smaller on the inside diameter than this is. And when I measured it, in order to, even if you were to like, bring this down with a lathe or something, it would pretty much have to eliminate the entire edge. Like it's pretty much needs to be all the way in the inside of this. So it's way off. So now I'm probably gonna have to put another flange on it. I mean, I have this one, that means I have to cut this off. God, this is the whole thing. The other thing is it kind of makes me wonder if this flange is gonna be right too. I don't have a wastegate yet, but it's entirely possible. I might be wrong. I won't know until I get a wastegate, but I mean, the biggest thing is at least, it fits in there. Like swapping out a flange isn't the worst thing in the world. Like trying to figure all that crap out, that was a big deal, but yeah, it's doable, but man, it's just another thing. All right, I made the decision, guys. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna hack this thing off, put this on there. I had my buddy actually weld this up because he's a really good TIG welder, and he did all this work. I'm gonna attempt to do this one myself. This is a little bit easier because it's just basically just welding around the outside, and it's pretty thick stainless, so I think it's like best case scenario. That doesn't mean I'm gonna do great, but I think I can do a reasonably good job. And I also think, I'm not entirely sure, I mean, I'm not an expert on TIG welding by any means, but I kind of think that if I weld it on the inside, in addition to the outside, I don't think I should have to purge weld it or back purge it, because back purging is basically just, protected on the inside, but if I weld over the inside, Like I don't think it'd be a problem because it's gonna seal it up pretty good. Should be pretty strong that way also, and I think I'm not entirely sure if I have the right cup sizes, but I think I can get in there with what I have and do it. I mean, it's not gonna be easy. I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it, but I think I can do it. We're gonna try it. So I'm just working like a little bit of an inch at a time, and then I just kind of like walk away from it for a little bit because I'm really worried about warping this flange, so I don't want to get the metal too hot. So I'm just like doing a little bit at a time. Plus it like, gives me time to like, calm down because I get a little carried away. If I like try to do a long stringer, then I kind of lose, I lose focus, I guess. So I think we're getting somewhere. I think I'm gonna attempt to try to do it on the inside too, since I don't have a back perch set up. So I really want to get rid of all that crap in there. It's gonna be really difficult to clean it. But there's like, there's a stepped lip in there, so there's like kind of a crevice. So it's gonna be interesting because I'm gonna have to throw a bunch of filler in there to actually fill in that gap. But I think I can do it, but we'll find out. All right, got it on there. It's it might not be the prettiest one in the world, but it's not terrible. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look like this one, but it's, it's gonna work. Now I just gotta see if I can figure out how to weld it on the inside, which I think is gonna be a huge pain in the ass, but I'm gonna try it. Woo! Well, there's a turbo on there now. What a pain in the dick. I had so many problems trying to get that turbo just on the manifold. Like, the V-band flange was already really, really tight, like even off the car, but after I welded it, it must have just oblonged it like a couple thousandths of an inch, just enough that it would not go on, like no matter what I did. I even tried heating the turbine housing to try to slide on there, nothing. I ended up having to grind just the tiniest little amount of metal around the inside of the fucking turbine exhaust housing, just a little bit to get it to go on there, but it's, it's finally on there. I don't know exactly how this is gonna sit. It's gonna, I can angle it any way I want, but for the moment, that's a win. Okay, so I think we're finally at the point where I'm gonna start bending some tubing to finish up this bumper support. I don't have a definite plan, I will admit. It's kind of difficult because I don't have a lot of the tools needed to figure out the angles correctly. So I pretty much just gotta kind of make some bends and kind of go, okay, this is pretty close, because it's, I mean, I can guesstimate. I have a couple things, but it's really, the issue is like some of the pipes that I'm trying, or the tubes that I'm trying to connect are at kind of a weird angle. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna throw some tube in here, bend some stuff up, cut some stuff, and then just kind of like hold it up in there and kind of see where we're at. Okay, so here's my new plan. So I bent this 45 to see where I was at, and I didn't really like the way I was trying to do it. This was the little piece that I had originally for the center of the bumper. And at the moment, what I'm thinking about doing is creating a whole new piece that basically is gonna look something like this with a 45-ish on each end. Then, in theory, I should be able to get it to the point where I can put it in as one piece and lock it into the uprights with some bolt-in sections like I wanted to do. It's gonna be really difficult to do this, but we're gonna give it our best. Okay, so I'm starting to get the shape figured out here. You can kind of see what I got going on. Basically, I started with that shape that I had already, and then I added in 45-degree angles on the ends. Now, I think what I need to do is I need to put another angle like somewhere up in here to bring it in just a little bit, because the pipes that I'm trying, or the tubes that I'm trying to attach to, are like kind of like right here. So I think I just need a little bit more angle on the ends, and then I'm gonna have to measure and cut it down to length, because it's a little bit too long by, I'd say, at least a half a foot, if not a foot. So we're almost there. Okay, so now you can see where I'm at. After I did end up adding this bend here, as you saw, and then I cut it down. I took quite a big section out of there, which actually they're down on the ground here because I'm still gonna need those. Basically, I tacked on these joints, which will allow me to remove it. That way, yeah, I can still get the body off. Basically the plan now is that I need to get this kind of up in the car and just kind of mock it up. And then just kind of figure out what the length needs to be on these. And then I need to chamfer these to get those tacked on to the car. Then I can, you know, tack everything else up, make sure everything's good. Then we can do a final weld. But we're getting there. Okay, so I started welding these together. As you saw, I actually tigged it together. I'm kind of starting to get it. Like, I'm not great yet, but you know, it's not terrible. I got both those welded on, and then I also got these two sections which are going to be welded to the rest of the frame. I welded these on, and then I painted the top half. That way I don't have to paint as much once it's in the car, but I left this part is unpainted, like right towards the bottom, so I should be able to get it welded on. Wait for this to dry, and then we can tack it in. All right, did a bunch of fabricating and welding and stuff off camera. You can see I ended up welding that one in. I ended up MIGging that one because it was just, there was a pretty big gap to close, and I'm not good enough with TIG to fill that big of a gap. And then I added in those bars right there. You can see there's one there, and then there's another one on this side also. Basically, I added those in for more structure because it wasn't strong enough on the bottom with just those plates on the bottom that I had. You can see there. It was kind of floppy. So now that it's tied into there, it's going to be nice and strong. Plus, it's where it's at. I can still unbolt that right there and the one down here and take the whole unit off as one, basically. You can show the other side. It's basically, it just matches the same thing, but you can see got the same structure over here, burned it in right there. So now I just need to take this off and weld the whole goddamn it back together, because it's yeah, everything's just tacked at this point. All right, so before I get welding, you can kind of check this thing out. Now it's out of the car, so you can kind of see what I got going on. I like it. It's pretty good. Just need to go through and weld everything up. I'm gonna try and TIG weld as much as I can. I know there's a couple spots that got a decent gap, so it might be kind of tricky to weld with a TIG. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see if maybe I can improve my skills just on this. Oh my god, guys, finally got it all welded. I TIG welded the entire thing. I didn't MIG anything. I started getting after it, and I just figured it out. Like, I just feel so confident doing TIG now. Like, you could tell some of these is where I started, and some of them are like, you know, where I had been going for a while. Like, I was just in there just fucking going ham on this thing. Like, I feel really good about this. Like, even the ones that were like way up in the corners, like, were, you know, difficult, but like I was still fucking getting it. I mean, it's, considering I haven't done a lot of TIG, like, I'm feeling really good about this. It looks awesome. Whew, guys, I think that's a good place to stop. Feeling so good about this. Got that bumper support all welded up. Like, obviously I need to paint it and get it back in the car. I need to paint some of the spots where I welded, like, to the chassis. You can tell I literally just got done welding because I still got a mark there from the welding helmet. But yeah, I've been going ham on TIG welding, and like I went through so much filler material on that because there is so much metal to weld on that. And it just seemed like the more I was doing it, the better I'm getting. It was just like, I was getting to the point like I was like upside down doing stuff. Like I wasn't even resting my arms on anything. Like, I was in all sorts of weird positions, and I was just like, just doing it like fine. Wasn't even a thing. Like, I'll say I'm still not a pro, but like I'm feeling like confident enough. Like, I feel like I could fucking weld anything steel at this point, like no problem. So that's pretty good. Yeah, it fits pretty good. I think that's gonna work. I think at this point, once I get it painted up and get it back in there, I think I'll be done with the bumper support. I think we're solid on that. After that, I mean, we're going to be moving on to, you know, obviously doing some of the turbo stuff, because obviously I got the turbo in there now. So now I just got to start building the exhaust and start building the, you know, the intercooler piping and all that stuff. But now that I'm figuring out this TIG stuff, like, I think the next stainless stuff I do, I think is going to be a lot better, because like it wasn't even just the metal that I was working with, like just that it was steel versus stainless or aluminum or whatever. I think it was honestly just like technique. And like the more I did it, I was like, okay, that's how I do that. That makes more sense. That's actually working. Okay. You know, it's just one of those things. You just got to do it to learn, I guess. But yeah, I think that's going to be it on this one, guys. So, you know, stay tuned, like, subscribe, comment, do all the things, and peace out.